Gator Nation, happy homecoming. This day is for you. I know there's millions out there that wish they could be in Gainesville this weekend, and guess what? We wish you could be here as well because we all know how great the University of Florida is. Big game today, Missouri. Tigers are here in town, another noon affair, so we'll see how the Gators do getting up bright and early. But what a week it has been so far for homecoming. They're doing so many different festivities. Of course, you had the parade yesterday. Last night, you had a whole bunch of new UF Hall of Fame members. Chandler Parsons, a big name for you football people out there. Joe Hayden, of course. Jeff Demps, remember how fast he was? Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer now at the University of Florida. But it was a great night, and today is going to be an absolute great day. So we've got so much to get you ready for Florida and Missouri, and gosh, we know, a little revenge out there because Missouri has gotten the Gators over the last couple of years, so it is time to get back at them, and we'll see how they can do. And one guy that's going to be a big part of what happens on the field today, Rashad Torrance. He's a sophomore. We got him down from Atlanta, Marietta area to come down and be a Gator, and thank goodness he has been because number 22 has been awesome. 13 tackles already in the game so far this year. Just missed that pick in the last game, but guess what? He's going to get a couple today, and we mic'd him up to tell you how pumped he is for this homecoming matchup.
Okay, it's time to shine now. The world meeting the Larrys. We just converted Larry from being Gainesville-wide, nationwide. No, this part ain't gonna make it though. This just me and you talking. Hey, see, you need to be talking too loud. Now you get water on the feet. How? You got that mic on. You see how many fans I have at practice now? Like Zip yesterday didn't want to even dap me up at the game.
I ain't dap you up today either.
I've been a freestyle.
Bro, stop talking my mic, bro. And we ain't ask you though, cowboy. Kung Fu Panda, praying mantis.
Whooshy finger.
Don, don't put this on there. After the TikTok we watched last night? No, we're not doing, bro.
Hit the skadoosh.
What are we doing? What are you doing, bro?
But you were talking about Kung Fu Panda.
Bro, I was giving my boy here a nickname, and you over here trying to give me life lessons.
Oh, I was saying skadoosh though. Like,
no.
That's the whole point of the movie.
No, it's not. Pop Burn, turn around, get in the camera, Pop Burn. You exiting stage right? Yeah, hit one of them, hey. They asking what 3 at, 3 in the field.
Well, love seeing number 22 run out there, and for all of you alumni, remember in the late 80s, there was a 22 that was pretty good. Ended up being the all-time rushing leader in the NFL, Emmitt Smith. So Rashad's got a little history with that number, and it has been awesome. You know what else is awesome? When we break this thing down with Scott Carter, Sean Kelly, and Kyle Crooks. That's what's going to happen right now.
Now joined by the voice of the Gators, Sean Kelly, senior writer of FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter here on the First and 10 pregame show, getting you set for homecoming, Florida and Missouri. Sean, let's start here because this Florida team has been really exciting to watch, especially offensively over the last couple weeks. When you evaluate on the offensive side of the ball, it seems like this group has turned a little bit of a corner on that side.
Or at least improved in some key areas, namely the passing game, which has really kind of come on strong now, throwing for more than 400 yards in each of the last 2 games. And really, it's very noticeable in real time when you're watching Anthony Richardson now work with his wide receivers and the fact that so many more guys, I think, are getting touches. Frankly, though, as many guys that are getting touches, 2 have emerged here in Justin Shorter and Ricky Pearsall as Anthony Richardson's 2 favorite targets. I think that's been very large. And I think the emergence of the 2 tight ends, and namely those are Zipper and Zanders, have also now allowed Billy Napier to perhaps be more versatile with his either script early in a game or the playbook later on. That'll serve well because certainly teams have keyed in and that Florida's pretty good on the rushing side of the football. So if you can remain as balanced as they've been the last 2 weeks, I think we'll look back at this particular moment as a good moment offensively for the Gators in this season.
And Scott, I want to touch on something Sean mentioned, and that's the emergence of the playmaking targets, especially on the outside. Justin Shorter's had a couple of really good weeks. That first play to start the game, a 75-yard touchdown. You have the Ricky Pearsall end around, a 76-yard score. And then not to mention, Sean mentioned the tight ends, but also Xavier Henderson as well. There's more guys that are starting to step up for Anthony Richardson, and that's helping that comfort, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, he needs that as a young quarterback, Kyle. And, when the season started and you looked at the playmakers on the outside, I mean, Justin Shorter was the one guy who you thought, okay, if this guy can have a breakout season, that's going to make life a lot easier for Anthony Richardson and the Gators. And he's starting to show it in the last couple of weeks. 155 yards at Tennessee was his career high. And then, as you guys referenced, the first play of the game against Eastern Washington. And, Pearsall, he's shown up on the stat sheet every week, but we saw a different side of him with that end around. I mean, he's got some skills with the ball after he gets it. I mean, he can run. So that was a big, I think, moment for them, and maybe just getting a little more confidence, like you said, for Anthony and the offense as a whole, because we've seen if Anthony tries to take it all on his own, that's not ideal for Florida. He needs to go out there, relax, play, have confidence in those guys. And the more that they start to show up like they did last week, the better I think it's going to be for the Gators.
And Sean, we've talked a lot about the offense, but defensively, you get Jaden Hill back last week. So that's good. He starts at that cornerback position. They rolled through a lot of guys last week. I think they played 81 players in total. But defensively, Ventrell Miller's been playing through injury, but he's been productive. Would you say that the biggest, weak area of this team right now that needs some molding would be stopping the run at this point in time up front?
Well, I think initially I would have said that. And now I think it's a more overall issue with the defense. There's a kind of alarming number right now that's emerged for Florida, and the fact that through the first 5 games, they've surrendered 49 different plays, passing plays of 20 yards or more. So, it's hard to put your finger on, it's just the run. They're getting gashed on the run, because at times they've also been fine against the run. It's just, I think there are plays where they have an opportunity to get off the field. They've been unable to do so. I think actually maybe being better on first down might be the key for this team right now. And that's where teams are delivering some of those chunk plays, explosive plays, whatever you want to call it. The Hill thing is an important note that you bring up, Kyle. I think Ventrell Miller saying this week that he feels more confident than ever this season about his injury situation. His words, I'm more back to 100% now, I think is awfully key for the Gators. And then we're still seeing the shifting going on up front. Is it going to be Boone that kind of starts in that situation? We've seen some flip-flopping at the nose guard position. Further seasoning needs to happen. And unfortunately for the Gators, they're now entering a stretch of the schedule that Scott and I have discussed this week as being awfully pivotal for the Gators overall season. So I think in some ways this Gators defense is what it is, but at the same time, they can certainly be better, and that would certainly help during these upcoming opponents starting today.
And Scott, starting today, homecoming, this Missouri team, it's been an interesting series since Missouri has joined the SEC, right? It's been even at 5 wins apiece. Last year, the loss in overtime that essentially changed the coaching staff and eventually brings in Billy Napier. When you look at this series overall, it's been an odd one where the Gators have definitely not had the number of Missouri.
Yeah, we've come to really expect the unexpected, right? When the Missouri joined the SEC East back in 2012, I think a lot of Florida fans maybe lumped them into that category with Kentucky and Tennessee as someone the Gators should have an edge on consistently, and that hasn't been the case. I mean, Missouri is 5-5 against the Gators, as you mentioned, and some of these games have just been inexplicable. I mean, I was talking with Sean and Chris Harry earlier this week about the 2014 game. That's probably as weird of a football game as I've ever covered. I think the Gators were down 42-0 at one time, and Missouri had scored in every way imaginable, and yet Florida had outgained them. I think Missouri finished with 120 yards or something that game, and they lost 42-13. And that just kind of sums up this rivalry. I mean, we've seen Florida lay it down a few times where they've won against the Tigers, but we've also seen the reverse of that, both in Gainesville and in Columbia. So I look at this matchup, guys, as a lot of the same way. I mean, it's really an interesting one. On paper, the Gators are favored and you like their chances at home, but Missouri's coming off a performance in which they, I think, opened some people's eyes with the way they played against Georgia, led that game going into the fourth quarter. Thought they played really physical and charged up. I don't know if they'll be able to match that effort, at a noon in the Swamp on Saturday. But if they do, it's going to be a difficult assignment for the Gators to go out there and beat them.
Yeah, there's been very few games in this all-time series that have not been lopsided, besides a few. And Sean, let's dig into this matchup, right? Because you have a first-year quarterback in Brady Cook getting the start for Missouri. He's had an up-and-down year, but it's a team that took number 1 Georgia to the brink. Auburn, that was a really devastating loss in overtime on the Plains. This is a team that's playing some of the best in the country, including Georgia, to the brink. So when you look at Missouri, what do you expect from them coming in?
Expect the unexpected. I mean, that's kind of been Missouri's MO. Might be Florida's, for that matter right now. The quarterback you mentioned is from Chaminade High School in St. Louis. And he doesn't have the big play threat, perhaps, but he's fearless and he will run and he will cause problems with his feet. He was efficient, obviously, against Georgia, 20 of 32. It doesn't blow you away. 192 was the yardage passing, but look, no turnovers. He was able to take care of the football against a very good Georgia defense last week. They've got some issues injury-wise, maybe with 2 big playmakers in Luther Burden and Dominic Lovett. Lovett had 6 catches last week. He's been kind of the number 1 target right now for Missouri's offense. But look, I'm with Scott. That Missouri defense is heavy blitz under Blake Baker. And if they hit like they did against Georgia on Saturday night, Florida's got their hands full come later on this afternoon. So in my eyes, I think there's 2 things that I'll particularly have my eye on. One is, can Florida's offensive line, which has miraculously only allowed 3 sacks all season, and really only one of them's a true sack. I mean, if the quarterback runs out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage, it's basically technically a sack. So this is a Missouri defense that's recorded 11 of those. I think that battle right up front there between the Florida offensive line and Missouri's defensive line is a huge key to this game. And then let's just go back to the weird and wild of this series. We have a kicker named Mevis on one side, whom many call the thicker kicker, who absolutely, I didn't say blow it, but the Auburn loss is a bit on him. And then he turns around a week later like some major league closer with no memory at all and hits 5 for 5 field goals, including a 56-yarder against Georgia. I also like Florida's kicker in Mahalik too. So is it going to be something like that? Is it going to be a 2014 situation, Scott Carter? I really hope not, but I'm leery of the line that you referenced, Scott, and I'm learning to really embrace the unexpected when these 2 teams get together.
Got the reference to the thicker kicker here on the First and 10 show. But Scott and Sean, thanks so much for the time, and look forward to your work here in the game coming up.
Thanks, Kyle. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's send it back to you, Jeff.
All right, again, it is homecoming. I know it is early for everybody out on the West Coast, but if that's where you are and you're up and after it, tell us. Show in the comments section where you're watching from, because we are really, really excited that you are a part of this thing. And again, happy homecoming. So many great people have come to the University of Florida, so many all over the country right now, and we are excited you are tuning in to our First and 10 show presented by Wells Fargo. All right, Anthony Richardson, we all know how really good he has been over these last couple of weeks. Tennessee, he was absolutely phenomenal, more than 500 yards of total offense. Did his thing last week as well in getting the W, but it is all about Anthony Richardson. How he goes is how the Gators go. And here's a little behind the scenes of what got him ready for this season. Some guys, well, they're just born to play in the swamp, to play in front of 90,000 of the best fans in all of college football. You've got to have the skills, the passion, and, of course, the coolness to handle that environment. Now imagine growing up right here in Gainesville, dreaming of one day scoring a touchdown inside the swamp, pumping up the crowd, and doing the Gator Chomp. Now think about that for a minute. For Anthony Richardson, it's become reality for the number 15, and he's ready to run.
Here come the Gators.
Growing up in Gainesville, of course you're going to know about the swamp.
Hops over the goal line, touchdown, Gators! Fitting it's Richardson to score, the hometown kid in his first start at the swamp.
Actually being here and playing in it, it's a whole different feeling. once you're on the big stage, you're on TV, it's different. It teaches you a lot. You know, I love all the fans and supporters out there, so I appreciate that, but it's definitely once in a lifetime experience.
This past spring and summer were vital to Richardson's success moving forward as a Gator quarterback.
On the clock, ready?
With an entirely new coaching staff coming in to lead the orange and blue, it was a fresh start for number 15.
I have a lot of respect for Anthony Richardson. I think, he does a tremendous job of really working a progression. I think he's got great vision in the pocket. He's very rarely not on time to his throws. He's a great challenge every day in practice, and I've really been impressed with his professionalism and just really impressed with how he goes about his business, how he studies the game, and his, eagerness to learn more.
Talking to Coach Napier a lot has opened up my eyes, about the university and the football team as well. He talks to me, tells me I have to have the same mindset that he has, and that's the head coaching mindset. Being a leader on the team, trying to lead the university, lead the team to a championship. So just building chemistry with my team and with Coach Napier has been great.
Now, there's no question that AR is talented. Some national media members have even pegged him as a first rounder because of how athletic he is on the football field.
Circles the backfield, fake the pitch to him. Richardson pumps, eludes a would-be sack, guns it back in the end zone, standing there and making the catch for the two-point conversion is Frazier's.
The game of football has meant a lot to Richardson. Growing up in East Gainesville, he has been the shadow of the University of Florida his entire life. And now, being a Gator has meant he's gotten to do some things he never even dreamed of.
I love football, it's taught me a lot. It's given me a lot. It's taken me a lot of places that I've never thought I would have been. It's helped me create bonds with people that I never would have thought I would have ever met. Having coaches that's kind of like father figures, because most players don't really have father figures in their lives. So having coaches that's there for you, supporting you and caring for you, that also means a lot. So I'm thankful for this game, and I appreciate God for allowing me to play it.
Now, with an understanding of how to be a leader, how to slow the game down, the sky's the limit for the Gator quarterback. And he just hopes he can make Gator Nation proud of what he has accomplished on and off the field.
Whenever you hear young kids say, "Oh, I want to be like you when I get older," it just sparks a fire in your body. It lets you know that you're doing something right and that you're on the right path. I'm glad I get to be a role model to a lot of people. I'm thankful for the opportunity.
An opportunity that every Gator fan hopes he can take advantage of and help this football team win a lot of football games this year. For Inside Gator Football, I'm Jeff Cardozo. Well, everybody loves coming back to Gainesville, and there are so many former Gator greats out there that have played on the football field, and gosh, now we see them all the time. Can't get rid of Tim Tebow on the SEC Network, right? Jesse Palmer's all over the place, and there's a certain wrestler, Titus O'Neil, that of course every Gator loves, and those guys and many others have come back to give back to these players. They know how important their time was at the University of Florida, and the Gator Made program has done a really nice job of going and getting them and tell the current players how hard they have to work in order to make it and live on the legacy here at the University of Florida. So we'll start with a feature there and then straight into the voice of the Gators, Sean Kelly, talking with Billy Napier about today's matchup.
Hi, I'm Shannon Bailey. I serve as the Senior Director of Player Relations and of Gator Made. Gator Made is your holistic development program for our football scholar athletes, not just our current guys, but also our Swamp alumni, making sure that they're well taken care of too. Vernell Brown Jr. does an excellent job connecting with our guys and making sure that they remain connected to the program. So whether it's through watch parties, coming back for a game, joining us for spring game, or even coming back during fall camp, we want to make sure that they feel just as welcomed. And really, they're the reason we have this facility, right? They built this program, so how can we show that appreciation and get them back into the fold, serving as mentors, and really pouring into the guys that are here currently. So what does it mean to not just have a 4-year experience, but a 40-year experience, a 4-life experience? So how do we make sure that anyone that becomes a Gator remains a Gator for the rest of their lives?
Let's look ahead to Missouri. It's going to be a noon Eastern kickoff at the Swamp. The Tigers roll in, one game under 500, but they gave number 1 Georgia last weekend all the Bulldogs could have asked for. Coach, back into SEC play and against a Missouri team that is somewhat unpredictable when you look at their body of work thus far. But, just watching their game last week, there's plenty to consume here with regard to your matchup this weekend.
Yeah, no, Eli's done a great job. I think they've improved the personnel each year. They've got a number of players that can create matchup problems for you. And they play a good brand of ball. I think you see the improvement of their team, right? You saw that when they played Georgia. you know, if you take away the Kansas State loss, this is a group that has been very competitive the entire year. So it's going to require our best. You know, you play in this league, there's nothing easy, and we're certainly excited about being at home.
Do you consider this a short week of preparation, having played your last game on Sunday?
You know, we worked hard last Thursday on Missouri. We got a little bit ahead there, anticipate not being able to have a full week. So, you know, we're used to this. We did it a lot at the previous stop, you know, having these 5-6 day turnarounds. So we'll rely on that a little bit. But, you know, it could be an advantage too. You know, I think there's lots of ways to look at it.
Coach, you've tailored your message each week to your football team and to the fan base too. How's it look this week with regard to Missouri specifically?
Well, I think, number one, I think it's homecoming, right? I think that's a big deal. Certainly, we always build a little bit of our theme around that, just in terms of representing the people that came before you. I think it's critical that our players understand the history, the tradition, not only the former players, but all the alumni that come back this weekend. So we talk a lot about representing the right way, and I think Saturday will present a chance to do that between the lines as we compete.
Can't wait. Parade, by the way, on Friday, football game again Saturday at noon. Coach, as always, thanks so much. Good luck this week. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
All right, Sean, Coach Napier, thank you very much. And hopefully all those things where they broke it down and told you about what's going to happen today actually does happen. And if they do, that means the Gators will be smiling a lot when it's all said and done. All right, I've got a new way where all of you out there listening can smile. Something called GatorsChallenge.com, and it's GatorsChallenge.com. We all think we know how the game's going to turn out, but now you have the opportunity to actually see if you know how well the game's going to turn out. Go in there, and then you will have different challenges, different guesses about different outcomes throughout the game. So maybe how many yards Anthony Richardson's going to throw for today, how many touchdowns that Ricky Pearsall is going to catch. A lot of different things throughout there, but GatorsChallenge.com, not only will you think you're really cool by winning, you'll also get 4 tickets to the South Carolina game, 4 Gator hoodies, and $100 to Tijuana Flats. So I'm telling you, go in there and do it, and you will certainly be excited if you are inevitably the winner. Well, we hope the Gators win on the field again. Happy homecoming to each and every one of you out there. It has been an absolutely tremendous week with the parade, the Gator Gallop, and of course the Hall of Fame banquet last night. Volleyball will play after the football game today, so if for some reason you're coming to town for the game, make sure you stay for that. And then volleyball will also play on Sunday, so a lot going on here in Gator Nation. And oh, by the way, softball and baseball started practice as well. So it is certainly a fun time to be around here. That is our First and 10 show presented by Wells Fargo. Again, make sure you get on there, GatorsChallenge.com. Check out all the great things on there. And thank you again for tuning in. Gators, Missouri, in just a little bit. You can listen to it on the Gator Sports Network from Learfield. It is also on ESPNU, so check it out as well. For everybody that made this thing happen and everybody that made homecoming a great experience for all of you guys and gals that come back, thank you. I'm Jeff Cardozo. We'll talk to you next week.